Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Michelle Fondin, and I'm the author of one of my books, Chakra Healing for Vibrant Energy, exploring your 7 energy centers with mindfulness, yoga, and Ayurveda. This is just one of the ways that you can support this YouTube channel is to buy a book, and I have 7 other published books, so go ahead and have a look on Amazon. If you have not yet, please subscribe to this channel, hit the bell button for notifications, and thumbs up. So welcome to my series on twin flames and the twin flame connection. In this video, because of a lot of the comments and emails that I've been getting, in this email we're going to talk about, am I a twin flame? I am a twin flame. Are you a twin flame? It came to me because of the tons and tons of comments that I've been getting on YouTube and the emails that I've been receiving from you guys. So thank you so much for watching. I love it. I love this community that we've created together. However, it's really important to note that while the concept of twin flame is coming mainstream, which is a fabulous thing, it's really great that people are becoming more aware of what this is and what this concept is. And the concept of soulmates has been around forever, and not that everyone really understands what soulmates are, but you get the general gist of what they are. Now with the buzzword of twin flame coming into the mainstream, a lot of people are wondering like, oh, I just saw this person and I had this instant connection. Could this person be my twin flame? So I'm going to be a little controversial here in my conversation, and I'm only doing it to make a point. I'm just trying to make a point to help you guys understand the seriousness of what this is and the fact that not everyone you come across is your twin flame, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you are a twin flame just because it's getting to be mainstream. And maybe when you're looking up romantic relationships or relationships in general, the word twin flame happens to pop up in your feed, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube. So remember not so long ago when the concept of people who are gay, lesbian, transgender, queer, the LGBT, I hope I'm saying that right, community being accepted into the mainstream. And like I said, it hasn't been very long because I grew up in the 80s, and a lot of people in my circle, because I was in theater and musical theater and in dance, there were people who were gay who could not be openly gay because it was, a Catholic school and because it wasn't very widely accepted. So very recently, being gay, lesbian, or transgender has been more widely accepted in society. But now it seems almost that so many people are coming forward and they're gay, lesbian, or transgender. And it's just in the general population, it's not that great of numbers. It's a very small percentage, in fact. It's almost under 10% are gay and lesbian, and under 1% of all people are transgender. But now it seems completely the opposite, that it's become so mainstream that people are just coming out I'm gay, I'm lesbian, I'm transgender. And it's almost become a trend, which is really kind of bizarre, but it's become a trend. And those people who are truly in that community, who are truly gay, lesbian, transgender, they know that it's not that they choose to be that, it's that it chooses them. So I can say this firsthand that my son, who was female to male, is transgender, and I totally did not understand that. And when he explained it to me, he said, it's not like I chose this, it chose me. Meaning this is something that I've known and I didn't quite know how to put my finger on it or give it a name or give it a definition, but it's always something that's been inside of me. So it's not like my son chose this, it's that it chose him. And anyone who is gay or lesbian or transgender will say the same thing to you. It's not like they go around I'm going to make my life more complicated, I'm going to not be accepted by society, I'm just going to choose this. It's no, it's that it chooses you. It's not the inverse. It's not that you choose it. You don't go out and seek to be that. And it's the same thing. So I'm bridging here to the twin flame experience, is that when you were incarnated into this existence, it is something that was chosen for you. Now you could say that you actively chose it as a soul, but you were chosen based on your soul's purpose to be a twin flame. And it's not the reverse. It's not like, oh gosh, I'm here on earth now. Now I'm seeing these people and I'm wondering if they're my twin flame. That's not at all how it works. So we're going to unravel and unfold what it means to be a twin flame. And I know this from personal experience, and I know it from other people's personal experiences that I've spoken to who are twin flames. And I know from the experience of my own twin flame, divine masculine, is that I know for certain that he would have never chose this. I know that based on his resistance in the beginning, when I was explaining to him about our soul connection, I was explaining to him that we have this connection, he was a 1000% resistant to it. And I'm pretty darn sure that he thought it was totally insane. He's like, who is this person? Like, while he really liked me at that time, and he really enjoyed my presence at that time, I am certain he thought I was completely off my rocker. He was like, what in the world is she talking about? So I know for certain that my twin flame divine masculine would have never chose this in a billion years. I would have never chose this in a billion years, because it's a really difficult journey to be on. It's a very difficult experience to be on. It's not a fairy tale, if you will. And honey, if you're listening, that has a little inside joke for both of us. And once you hear our story full out, you'll understand why. But, you know, even though I think that I am a princess, but it's not a fairy tale. And, you know, sometimes fairy tales actually, in actuality, can be very difficult with a lot of obstacles in the way, right? So one of my favorite shows is Once Upon a Time, that before the last season, but the first, I don't know, what, 6 seasons of Once Upon a Time with Snow and Charming. And if you watched it, you know what I'm talking about. But their story was really, really super complicated. Probably a twin flame story. Very complicated, very complex, with a lot of obstacles in their way. But, and they too did have a higher purpose, actually. The journey, the experience of being a twin flame chooses you. You don't go out there and choose it. It's not like, I think I want a romantic relationship today, so I'm going to go out and seek this. It's that you meet this person who is your twin flame, and it's usually, and that's another misconception I'm going to try to unveil, is that a lot of the comments that I've been getting is that I saw this person one time, I met this person one time, I had an experience with this person one time, and I had all these feelings that came up. Could this be my twin flame? And the answer is, it could be your twin flame, or it could be infatuation, or it could be a soulmate connection, or it could be a karmic connection. Like, one experience with one person one time does not define the relationship or the experience. Usually it takes several encounters with that person, whether it be platonic or romantic, whether it be in friendship or as a lover or as a dating experience. It usually takes more than one time in order to really decipher whether or not that person is your twin flame. And one of the reasons for that is that there is an activation of the heart chakra. There's an activation of the other chakras. There is this activation that happens in the presence or in the experience of that person. So I know a lot of twin flames may have met online, or they've been messaging via Facebook or doing FaceTime or doing Skype or whatever back and forth because they're across the miles, or maybe they've never yet met in person. So, but that is still an experience where you guys are connecting, right? It's still an experience where even if you're just viewing each other over FaceTime or Skype, that you're experiencing the energy of that person, and there's this constant exchange. So you really know, you begin to know after the first few exchanges, because otherwise it's really hard to decipher, is this person just someone I'm lusting over, or is it a karmic connection, or is it a soulmate connection versus a twin flame connection? In my case, I knew pretty much right away that it was a twin flame. I knew it was very different than anything that I have ever experienced before. And when I tell you that it found me and the experience chased me, it's because the feelings that I was feeling inside about this person and the feelings that he was feeling about me in the initial phases, I know were very strong. And I know that he didn't quite get it. He didn't quite understand it. And he pretty much summed it up to being like, oh, this is just sexual attraction. This is just physical attraction. And I really like this person, but it's not something that's a spiritual connection. Whereas I knew it was a spiritual connection. And it's because of a lot of the coincidences that started to happen with us right away. Like our first, and I've said this in other videos, so I tell very, very little about our story. And like I said, that's at his discretion when he decides to come into YouTube land with me, which I know he will at some point. But when he decides to come into YouTube land with me, then he can share that part of the story. The one part that I can share is, because it's pretty, generic, is that one of the first conversations that we actually had was about marriage, which is really strange, right? And it was completely like out of context of a conversation that we would have had. It's just, that's the first conversation that came up. And so that was a weird coincidence that we initially just talked about him getting married, actually. And I was just kind of like bringing up an imaginary scenario. And then the second thing that came up was that in our second conversation together over the phone, I had that same day, I had thought about a book on relationships. And that book, I hadn't thought about it in years. And a book on relationships that came up into my thoughts, and that in that conversation we had that day on the phone, he mentioned that exact same book and having read that book. So it's just those coincidences started happening. And like other things like telepathic communication started happening between us, where we could look into each other's eyes and just read each other's minds. So it was a lot of things like that in the beginning that started happening. And that's when it started clicking for me. Even though I didn't know what twin flame connection was, I was certain that it was something that was so vastly different than anything that I had ever experienced. And it was based on all of those signs. It was based on the synchronicities, based on the coincidences, based on the fact that, as I mentioned in other videos, he's not a person that I would have normally been attracted to. There's a huge age gap. Like, there's a lot of other circumstances that would have kept us separate. And like I said, that's a filler of our story that we can tell at a later time. And so it didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense as to why I would need to be in this relationship with this person. And because I've been practicing meditation since 2007, because I've been a meditation teacher since 2009, all of those experiences on just living in a higher level of consciousness and being able to meditate and get answers from my angels and guides, I knew and I was told early on that he was my person. I was told early on, even before we had really any experience together in dating or together or anything like that. Like, I was told that he was my person, and I was in total disbelief, 100% disbelief. I almost said, like, no, I don't want this. Like, no, this is not my person. And God was saying, yes, this is your person. This is absolutely your person. This is absolutely your person. And I was like, I don't see what? Like, I don't see it. And it was at that moment, really, and it took a few weeks. It wasn't like right away. But as things were coming together between us, and as we actually were together physically we were together, it was like a light bulb went on. I was like, oh my God, this is my person. And it was just, there was still a little bit of resistance there because I didn't truly believe it. I didn't truly feel it, but it was that activation inside where I just knew that he was the person for me, that he was my person. And I know that he knew it too, but he had a totally different reaction than I did. And so my reaction was, I know this is my person. I am totally happy that this is my person. And I literally went back to prayer and meditation. I went back to God and I was like, okay, God, if this is my person, then thy will be done. And I really surrendered to God. And I just said, okay, all right, I'm going to trust you on this one. I'm going to trust you, God. Trust you on this one. If this is my person, let it unfold the way you want it to unfold. Let this person be in my life the way you want him to be in my life. And my divine masculine twin flame took a totally different approach. And he just said, nope, I don't want her to be my person. She's not my person. This is not who I want. That's it. And at that point, what happens is it happens for our own healing, right? It happens for our own healing journey. So me accepting him as my divine masculine, accepting him as my person, accepting him as my love, the person I'm going to marry, me accepting him into that was part of my journey. And him rejecting me in that is the part of his journey. And so me embracing it and feeling everything in that and that he is, and learning to love myself and accept myself and being myself was something that had to happen and unfold throughout the months that we were separated. And for him, learning that he was worthy of receiving a love that he so desires, like just he craved that love for so long, desired that love for so long, and him being able to like fully accept it and fully integrate it into his being and saying like, I deserve this. I deserve to have a love like this. I deserve to have a relationship like this. I deserve to have a woman like this. I deserve this relationship and I fully accept it because I know that I am worthy of it. Like I deserve it. And so it's like we both had different lessons we had to learn. And again, I can say this because the divine masculine journey is very similar to what he has experienced. And the divine feminine journey is very similar to what I have experienced. So it's not a mistake that in the collective, there are these experiences that we need to integrate in order to come ultimately into union. But again, I would not have chosen this. It was chosen for me. I would not have chosen the pain that you go through in separation. I would not have chosen the pain you go through in your own healing journey. I certainly would not have chosen that. So for those of you that have given birth, like gone through the birthing experience, transit without medication. Transition labor is like right before you're ready to push the baby out. So it's the most intense, excruciating pain you've ever been through. And if you're not medicated, you know what that feels like. It is horrible. It's excruciating. It's like you feel like you're crawling out of your skin. It's so bad. And I felt in the last several months, since about September of 2018, as I was going through this journey, I felt like that. Like I felt like the most excruciating experience, the most excruciating pain that I could possibly endure and go through. Now, when you're having a baby, like that period of transition labor is only, and I teach prenatal yoga, so I can say this, and I'm always reiterating it to my pregnant ladies. That period of time is only like 30 minutes. It feels like it's forever. It feels like it never ends, but it's only about 30 minutes. And then you're ready to push the baby out and there's your baby and yay, you forget it. You forget about that transition phase. Although if you're not medicated, it does take some time. So, but imagine that, like imagine some excruciating pain. And if you're a dude, just imagine like someone kicking you in the balls, like really hard once every 2 hours and continually doing that. And it's just like you just recover, like you just get over the pain and then somebody kicks you again. I mean, it's just this excruciating pain that never ends. It just seems to never end. And like infused with that, there's like this intense love and intense doubt and then intense love and then pain and then suffering and then bliss because you know you have your beloved somewhere. And so it's just this back and forth, and it's a healing process that's going to lift you higher. But again, it's not something that you would actually choose to do, right? Like, I would not actively choose this. It was chosen for me. And so that's like the first part. The first part is like, if you feel like you're out there searching for a twin flame, know that you're probably not a twin flame, because the experience finds you. You don't go out there and find the experience. The experience totally finds you. I did not look for my twin flame at all. I was not even looking. I was not even remotely peeking. It wasn't even in my vision field at all. And as I mentioned, I was in another relationship. I was coming out of another relationship. And I was still desperately in love with this person and wanting this person to fix some things and turn around things so that we could be together. And when I met my divine masculine twin flame, it was like, oh, hello. Like, it wasn't, and it was really funny because when I first saw him, the first time I saw him, and the first time I encountered him, and there was this little flirtation, but it was just me being silly. It wasn't even like, I'm flirting with you now. It was just me being totally silly. I was being really, really silly. But it was that pull toward him that made me stop in my tracks and go, what was that? Like, what was that? Like, what was that? You know, and it was that continuous questioning of why do I need to be near this person? Why am I so attracted to this person? Why is this person magnetically pulled toward me in the same vein? So, and that's part of the twin flame journey too, is that person, your divine masculine, or if you're a divine masculine, your divine feminine, is magnetically pulled toward you too. So it's not just a one-sided thing, right? It's this magnetic pull that pulls you together. And there will be moments of your divine, if you're a divine feminine, your divine masculine coming toward you, and periods of you coming toward him. So it's not like it's one-sided, because you guys are twin flame souls. So you're half of one soul split into two, coming together to create union between the two halves of your soul. So it's like, as I mentioned, it's the yin yang symbol, right? So it's the polarity, the masculine polarity and the feminine polarity finding themselves together. And because they belong together, it's this magnetic pull that's bringing you guys together. And honestly, there's nothing you could possibly do to not bring you guys together. Like, the heavens will open, the seas will part, God will come down with the angels to make sure you guys get together. And it's just so funny and absolutely hilarious, because I've seen this again and again and again and again and again, even during our separation, where it was like, there was no way we'd ever be in the same space together. Like, the statistics of us actually bumping into each other and being in the same space together at a given moment of time was like 0%. A 0% probability of us actually like bumping into each other and being together in the same space. And it has happened again and again and again and again and again, where it's just like at that split second, all of a sudden, not planned, we were just together in the same place. And it's just happened. And it's so crazy, because it's like, that is heaven's way of saying, like, you guys belong together. You're going to be together. You're like magnetically pulled to each other. That's just what's happening. That is the one aspect that is really, really different than a traditional relationship that's not a twin flame connection. Now, the second thing I'm going to say to you guys, and this is like equally important, and I'm not going to make this video too long, I promise. The second thing that's equally important is that if you are in a twin flame connection, you cannot help but change, grow, and transform. You cannot help it. You are on a fast track journey to healing, changing, and transforming, okay? There's no way that you can resist that change and transformation. It is like a fast track to a higher state, a higher level of consciousness that is just like a crazy journey. And so if you find that you're still caught up in a lot of the traditional aspects of relationship, like, oh my gosh, is he gonna call me? Is he gonna text me? Is, you know, like he's talking to that other girl. Like if you're caught up in that drama that tends to be present in all other female-male or male-male, female-female relationships or romantic polarity relationships, if you're still caught up in that drama, then you're not on a twin flame journey, especially if it's been more than like a day, right? And so in the beginning, in our beginning between my divine masculine and I, in the beginning, there was some of that. And it was mostly coming from me, but the game playing came from him too. Because someone who ghosts you, that's game playing, right? That they're not being open, they're not being honest, they're not standing in their truth, right? But someone who is chasing, someone who's consistently texting or calling or saying, hey, why don't you call me? Why don't you text me? Why don't we get together? Like someone who's caught up in that drama too is not operating from their highest self. So obviously it takes two to tango, and obviously it takes two people to form a relationship and make it great. But there was a lot of that going on in the beginning. It was like this chasing and running, but also like, you know, not very honest behavior, you know? So when you're trying to make someone jealous, that's not very honest behavior. When you're playing games, that's not honest behavior. When you're ghosting someone, that is not honest behavior, right? It's just, it's not standing in your truth. If you could stand in your truth, you could say, hey, I feel this way about you. I really like inside of me, oh my gosh, I don't know what's going on, but I just feel like crazy about you. I don't know if this is the right time for me, but this is the way I'm feeling. Or inversely, it's just like, hey, you know, when I'm in a relationship, I really like it when my partner, you know, contacts me daily. Like that's just part of being in a relationship, and that's what I really enjoy, and that's what I really like. So it's like that stark honesty, and it's a place that you get to when you're loving yourself and when you're honest with yourself first. And so your personal development, that spiritual development, that higher development is like happening so rapidly when you're on this journey. It's like you don't even know what's hitting you. You're purging the old, you're bringing in the new, you're looking at things in a new light constantly, all the time. You're constantly looking at things in a new light. You're looking at things from a higher level all the time, and it just keeps getting better and better and better and better and better, and you're learning to love yourself. You're learning not to be insecure. You're learning to accept yourself fully. You're learning to love yourself fully. You're learning to love your divine masculine or divine feminine fully. You're learning to accept them fully for who they are. You're learning to accept their great qualities. You're learning to accept their flaws. You're learning to accept the fact that they're human and that they're a divine masculine or divine feminine, that you're accepting their divinity and their humanity. And you're just accepting the entire package, and you have compassion, love, and empathy for them. And you have compassion, love, and empathy for yourself. So you're not judging yourself. You're not blaming yourself. You're not berating yourself. You're totally, totally, totally loving yourself. And you're putting up healthy boundaries. And those healthy boundaries are saying, this is the way that I'd like to be treated in a relationship. This is what I'd like to give in a relationship. And if you can't give your all in a relationship, if you have to hold back, if you have to make threats, then that's not operating from your highest self. So when you're in a twin flame connection, while all the odds are against you, while all the odds and all the naysayers and critics might be saying like, you need to let this person go, you shouldn't be in this relationship, all that time you are growing, changing, and transforming into the highest possible state of being that you can be in. And you are withdrawing from people who create drama. You're withdrawing from people who doubt you. You're very politely bowing out of situations that are going to make you crazy. You're starting to get healthier. You're really paying attention to the foods you eat, the water you drink. You're like staying away from substances. So all this time, like you're just continually growing through this process, even in separation. And then when you're together, there's even more growing that happens, but because you've done the bulk of the growing on your own and in yourself, and you've actually learned to love yourself and accept yourself and be peaceful with yourself, because of that, the relationship it comes together more naturally. It comes together in a higher light. So it's not codependency. And if you haven't viewed my other videos on the twin flame journey, please do. Please click into those videos and just view them, because I explain like so much more flavors of what this is in those other videos. And then finally, here is the third and final point that I'm gonna make in this video, I promise. So the third and final point I'm gonna make is that this twin flame journey is not about you and your romantic relationship with your twin flame. That is a part of it. That is a part. Your union is so important to this universe. Honey, I love you. My divine masculine, you know who you are. This union is so important to our life's purpose, and it's so important to the purpose of the universe. It's so incredibly important because the elevation of your spirit, the elevation of your soul, the elevation of your being a human is so important for the collective. It's important because the display of humanity that you are showing outwardly through the inward journey that you've developed in yourself and that you're developing together with your twin flame soul is shining outward like a bright light for the rest of humanity. And whatever mission that you've been called to do, whether it's to write books together, go out and speak in public together, get on a YouTube channel together, help other couples together, help those that have failing marriages together, whatever it is, your mission is so incredibly important so that your coming together is for your mission. It's not like we're coming together just to come together and have this happily ever after relationship, which you will. You will have a happily ever after relationship. It's going to create work just like every other relationship, but it's going to become a little bit easier just because you've already been through hell and back. And now you know that you belong together. You know that you guys can't live apart because of your soul's purpose. And so you learn to love and accept each other unconditionally. You've already loved yourself unconditionally. You love each other unconditionally. And so that you can support each other as you both go out there into your life's work and life's mission. And so that really is the purpose of a twin flame connection. It's not like other traditional relationships where it's like, we're going to get together, we're going to create a family, we're going to create a home, which is great. Those are all fantastic goals. And if you're a twin flame, you're going to have those goals too. And then we're going to go to work, and then we're going to raise the kids, and then we're going to save some money and go on vacation and save for retirement. Like those are all great. Those are all wonderful. It's just that the twin flame community has been selected for a different purpose. So the purpose is to help the collectivity. The purpose is to help others. The purpose is to help raise the vibrational consciousness of the entire world. And so, it's usually through mission work. It's through this type of mission work where me being on YouTube, helping you guys to understand yourselves and to love yourselves and to open up to love and opening up to unconditional love, that is a part of my mission and my purpose. And it's not like I just do this because, hey, I've got all this spare time. It's because it's part of my calling. It's my soul's calling. It's my soul's purpose. And it's my divine masculine's calling and soul's purpose too. Once you realize that, then you realize this journey is not about a trend. It's not about becoming mainstream. It's not about like, oh, I want the fairy tale romance like everybody else seems to be having, because believe me, this is not the fairy tale romance, right? And my divine masculine twin flame soul will confirm that for you. It's not a fairy tale romance. Yeah, there's romantic aspects of it, but it's not the fairy tale. It's not like we ride off into the sunset and into the happily ever after. It's that we get down and dirty and get our hands dirty and are like, what work needs to be done now? Like, what souls need to be helped now? It's not like we both of us, he and I, both of us right now in our current job description, we both live a life of service. We absolutely both live a life of service. And so because we already have lived a life of service, we know what it is like to serve. And so our role, our mission is to go out there and help and serve others. And that, if you are a twin flame, that is what you are designed to do too. So I hope this brings some clarity to the situation. And if you're a twin flame soul, awesome! And if you're not, don't be like upset or sad or disgruntled or dismayed because you're not a twin flame soul. Like, your purpose is great in the universe too. It's just a different purpose. And that does not mean, however, don't opt out of this. Don't say, like, because I watched this video now, like, I'm off the hook. If you're watching this, there's a purpose for you watching this. And so that your soul's mission too, even if you're not in a twin flame relationship, if you're in a regular relationship or karmic or soulmate relationship, your role too is to vibrate at a higher frequency. It's to love yourself first so that you can fully love others. It's to accept yourself first so you can fully accept others. And so I challenge you to that. Like, I challenge you to, even if you're not in a twin flame connection, is to raise the bar for yourself and for others. Like, raise that bar. Get out of codependent relationships. Break free from codependency and start your spiritual practices like meditation and yoga and Tai Chi and Qigong and nature walks and beach walks and just all those things that are going to help nourish your spiritual self. So thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for subscribing to my channel below. Share this video with other twin flames. And thank you for buying a book and pledging your support on Patreon. www.patreon.com/Michelle S. Fondin. And I will see you in the next video.